Good afternoon. Welcome to Quantum Experience. This is Michael Brill, and my guest today is Reverend Sharon Rebekah Lynn. And Sharon has been in practice since 1998, utilizing energy, essential oils, crystals, incense, and sound as tools for her healing work. Her techniques include REIKI, hypnosis. She specializes in past life regression, for example, shamanic soul retrieval, past, present, and future life explorations and regeneration, channeling, guided meditations, shamanic drumming journeys, chakra clearing and balancing, and astral projection. That's quite a bit there, Sharon. She has a Bachelor of Divinity ordained minister, a metaphysician, certified hypnotherapist, a spiritual counselor, certified as a teacher of basic sacred Merkaba, the flower of life. She is a Reiki master and a professional belly dancer. Also a Qigong and yoga instructor and the director of the Ascensive Light. She's the owner of that. And a group of spiritual, like-minded practitioners, artists, drummers, and dancers. She's had this group together since 1998. She also has a private practice sessions for Reiki, hypnosis, and chakra and energy balancing. Sharon, welcome to the show today. And boy, I think I could have taken the hour just reading your background.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me on your show.
You're welcome. So let me just first of all start by asking you, how did you get involved in all these things?
Well, I've been dancing since I was a child. I was belly dancing, since I was like 5 years old as part of my heritage, and my parents used to have me dance for all the parties and stuff, and then I held my little garage events and stuff, and I've been on stage since I'm like 5, always wanting to dance. And then I was also psychic as a child, but of course 50 years ago nobody knew what was going on with that, and so I was like the sixth sense kid, so they took me to the doctor. Yeah, I was hearing so many voices and seeing so many things that it was very scary as a child. And I tell my mother, and nobody believed me. So they took me to the doctor. They said, "Oh, you have a wild imagination. No more television for you." Thank God they didn't put me on any drugs. So finally, I started blocking it as I was growing up. But I had a neighbor next door that was into the esoteric. So at least I had her still there, keeping me a little bit alive about it. And as I was going through my path, I had this burning desire as I was later on in life. It was still in my mind. I had a burning desire. There's something I had to do for God, and I didn't know what it was, and I had to come to Florida. So I actually came to Florida, where my father lived and used to visit many times, and then I ended up getting divorced down here and found my metaphysical teacher. And so many amazing experiences happened to me down here on my path. I found out I had a natural ability to channel the AKASHIC, and my teacher was an AKASHIC reader. And I also, shamanic journey was very easy for me. And, I found that I was very telepathic.
What are the AKASHIC records for those that don't know?
The AKASHIC records is the records of everything that ever was or will be. So when you tap into that, your higher self is tapping into that. So
is that where you go to read the past life records?
Yeah, but I usually, whatever comes in will come in. Like when I do AKASHIC work, it's like I could be speaking to somebody and something will come out of my mouth and I will say in my head, "Who said that?" But it's really a message for that person. So it's not where I do readings or anything like that. It's more of a natural ability. And then later on they'll come back and say, "You said this," and of course I won't remember. And then, then they'll tell me, "You were right about that." And I'm like, "But, I didn't say it. It wasn't really a message from me." And then also I'll consciously voice channel and I record it because a lot of times I don't remember when I come back. But the other work that I do is kind of shamanic work, which I'll explain later, is more where I help the person go in and I see what they're seeing and shamanically see what they're seeing. So it's a little different than the Akashic. It's tapping into your higher self, which is why I like to teach that, because helping people tap into their higher self will help them connect to their own intuition, which helps guide them on their path. So that's really why I do all the work that I do.
Now, when you do past life regressions, why would somebody come to you for a past life regression?
Well, basically they come to me for past life regression because they have something that's bothering them, or some people just come for fun, but a lot of people that come to me have something they want to clear, like they might have a pain or something somewhere and they just feel like, you know, they need to clear something, and they come for many, many reasons. You know, I actually do clearing work because I was doing clearing work on myself because of my childhood, and you know, I knew that there was things that I had to clear, but I was afraid to clear them for many years. So I finally went to someone who was very instrumental in helping me with clearing my own things, and I went to her for months and months, and she made me see all my past lives and many of my past lives, and I saw, you know, a lifetime of how I got a pain in my stomach, where I was a samurai and I committed harikari because I was with the emperor and I was his right-hand man, and I thought that I did something wrong, but I hadn't done something wrong, and he was very upset, and I committed harikari. So when I pulled out the sword, I never had the pain in my stomach anymore. And I also did one where I was kidnapped as a child, and I used to be very afraid of the Renaissance Festival, and all, you know, I was afraid of witchcraft and things like that, and I saw where I was kidnapped in another lifetime as a child and forced to do sacrifices and things like that. But then I escaped when they were getting burned at the stake. I escaped and became a healer. Yeah, I got away, and I went to the woods and I was healing people, and so I helped clear some of my karma, but in this lifetime I still had karma from that lifetime, so I had to clear a lot of my karma that I got in this lifetime. And I had many of those spirits coming to me when I was on my beginning path. I was afraid a lot because I had all these people from past lives still trying to get my power and who I was and turn me into their side, which of course I was born as a Capricorn. You know, you have the dark and the light, and so thank goodness I was always drawn to the light and went into the light. You know, through going through the darkness, I went into the light. And so, you know, and then I cleared a lifetime of claustrophobia, but that's like an onion peel. Like if you're claustrophobic, you can clear it. Like I saw with my mother, who is my father, he locked me in a dungeon because I was psychic, and he was jealous. So I had to live down there till I was 19, where I finally died, and I was in the dungeon. So I saw how I became claustrophobic. So for a while I cleared that, but that's like an onion peel, you know. Then you go through different life experiences, so you can also get that back. But some people never get it back. So, you know, and then you can go into a lifetime and reframe it. So you go in and you see what happened, and in that lifetime you visualize doing it another way. So you change the outcome, and that's what I try to help people do, either clear it or change the outcome. You know, I've even had people, you know, that wanted to remember another language that they knew as a child, and she actually came back remembering and speaking the language again. So, I mean, I think it's really up to the person on how open and trusting they are when they get the work done.
And you do this with hypnosis. What else do you do with hypnosis?
Well, actually, I started this work before I was a hypnotherapist because I was so drawn to the work when I had it done on me. I felt like it was something I was supposed to do, so I started practicing on my friends and my family, of course, you know, not for a living or anything. And I was working on them and helping people. And then I decided to get my hypnotherapy certification later because I said, if I'm, you know, I think this is something I should have to have the credentials to do this work for people.
So what are some of the things you do with hypnotherapy for people?
Oh, I do stress reduction. create different scripts for them, you know, for as needed. Sometimes I'll put a stress reduction with some other habit, a bad habit that they want to break. Like I had somebody that had a couple of things they wanted to break their habit, so I added that into stress reduction because a lot of times it's stress and things like that that's causing it. I do a series of weight loss, which is a really good tool to help people keep the weight off. And of course, I do smoking cessation. It helps people quit smoking for good. And also sometimes past life issues come up with that type of work because it's a lot of times it's dark in nature. And once they clear them, then they clear the habit because it comes from sometimes a past life thing why they're smoking and other issues. And then, and of course, we discussed the clearing work that I do too in the past life.
Now, you also do Reiki. And what is Reiki? What is it actually?
Well, Reiki is universal life force energy that's inside of everything and everyone. It was rediscovered by a Christian monk from Japan, Dr. Mikao Usui, in the 1800s. He was searching for how Jesus, Buddha, and others healed. And once you receive a Reiki attunement, which you get from a Reiki master, you're initiated into the energy and it will flow through you forever. And some of the benefits of Reiki are it promotes healing, it relieves pain, reduces stress, it can decrease bleeding, it increases relaxation and releases emotional and mental blockages, and it clears, you know, blocked energies in the chakras and stuff. You could do it on plants and on pets, and you don't have to have any kind of belief or faith or anything like that.
Now, do you lay your hands on people when you do Reiki?
Sometimes I have my hands on them and sometimes I have them above them. It depends on the area and what energy I'm feeling at the time because every person that I work with is very unique. So I usually will call in the guides and I'm a clear channel. I don't, even though I'm a Reiki master, I don't think that it's my energy that's coming through. This is the Reiki masters are coming through me as a clear channel, and I just allow them to guide my body as my body is their tool to bring the energy to that person. And so it's up to them and God if they heal. And, you know, I'm guided to do that work on them.
Could you give us an example or two about people you've worked with issues, what kind of issues and how they were healed?
Well, I can tell you a funny story. Well, it's not really funny, but I was traveling. My dad had a boat in Miami, and when I first got my my Reiki initiation, I was, still testing things out, and I didn't know what was happening. So my dad, we were in the middle of the water driving from Miami to Palm Beach with the boat, and he hit his head and he was bleeding. So I was like, Dad, I don't know, but let me try this. I just, I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. We had nothing to stop his head from bleeding. So I did the Reiki on his head, and his head stopped bleeding right away. So that was my first miracle right there. And then it was kind of weird. And then I was in real estate school, and at the time, right after that, while I was going through the classes, and I had my Reiki 1, and there was a girl I met in the bathroom, and her eyes were blown up from like really bad allergies. She said, "Oh, I think I touched a chair where someone sat with a cat, and my eyes they're itching and they're really bad." And she looked awful. So I said, I know you don't even know me, but I just got this initiation. Can I put my hands on your eyes and we'll see if it works? So I did it. And that was my second miracle because our eyes stopped itching and stopped swelling. And she said, wow, that's the first time usually it takes days for it to go away. So it was almost like teaching me to believe in it myself. So it was very interesting.
Would this energy be useful, say, for stomach ulcers, cancer, things of that nature?
Yes, and actually I got a Reiki grant for the hospital that I worked in because they did believe in it through the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and it took me many years of trying to get a grant and trying to do this in 2 different hospitals, and I finally got a Reiki grant to work with 90 cancer patients in the hospital. And hopefully they're doing well with that grant. I since left there. left the hospital and left them with the money that we got from the grant. And it actually, in my belief, it works very well to relax cancer patients. And I worked on cancer patients where she said her organs started working again, where her different organs had shut down, and she came back telling me that it was working again, like you know, her menses, she started getting regular again and things like that. So, you know, I've had different people with different feedback. And then there's people that have also been calm through it. And some people might not make it through staying alive through cancer, but at least it calms them down during it, because it's not up to me or the Reiki masters if they live. It's really up to them and what they're going through on their life experience and where they need to be and opening to healing. So
thank you. We're going to come back and ask you to do that again. You also do shamanic journeying with people. What is that, and why would someone practice it?
Well, shamanic journey is a method of traveling anywhere you wish to go in the world, or anywhere you want to go. It's in a more advanced state. You can travel even inside the body or in the mind to heal. And I was drawn to this by doing my own journeys, and also through the clearing work that I had done. But on my journey, I saw so many. One of the journeys that I took, I saw I was constantly taken back to the same place, the same place. We would always go up a path and go around this waterfall and come around, and then the angels would be there. And miraculously, which is going to be part of my book when I'm writing a book about a vortex that I found here in Woolbright, in Boynton Beach there. It was an amazing story, and I took my teachers and stuff there. I found a waterfall that wasn't any longer a waterfall, but I know it used to be, and the place had more than one lifetime in it, and I was taken there to see many things that happen, including the vortex opening and stuff that might be a little funny for people to hear, but, you know, even ET kind of things, and I was shown that for a specific reason. So one of these days, I've been writing my book for many, many years, and one of these days I'll get the book out there and talk about that, all of that stuff. But the journey actually took me there, and then I didn't go to that journey anymore once I finally found the place. So the way I do it in a class is I call in the guides, and we set a sacred circle, and then there's some metaphysical rules and laws. We use a constant monotonous drumming pattern, and that facilitates the journey. And then the participants go through like a little black hole, like a little vortex, and they use their imagination, which in my belief, imagination is a real plane, and they have like an etheric cord attached to their, like, almost like their belly button, and they have a bandana on their eyes, and it helps them see more clearly in the pitch black dark. So then they jump through there, and then they go into the different worlds. And usually you can go to so many worlds in one journey, which journeys are usually about a half hour, 20 minutes. It depends on who's doing it. I usually do a half hour, and then I have them come back and do another half hour. This way, the second one, they usually go deeper because they know what to expect, and they're not afraid, and they're more relaxed. So sometimes they find power animal guides or crystals and objects they manifest in the material world, like what happened to me. And then also the drum beat changes when it's time for them to come back, and they have like a known drum pattern, and then they come back and they write all their experiences on a card. Because when you come back, everything gets fuzzy. You start to forget about it. And then we use a talking stick, you know, and we share. And I find it to be very healing, just as my private work, you know, in most cases, it helps them heal on many levels when they come back, because we talk about it, and it helps them with their daily lives. So
Okay. So when you send them out, when you take them through this dimension, and they start making this trip, are you engaged in conversation with them and asking them where they're going and what they see? And if so, can that be recorded for them? Do you record that for them?
I only can do that if I'm working with them privately. I don't use my drum privately. I do use my voice privately, and I use their fingers as talking tools too, because sometimes your conscious mind and subconscious mind will say two different things. So we work with fingers, and you know, I had to have their yes finger and their no finger, and then I do speak to them when I'm doing it privately. But when I'm doing it in a class, the drum beat, I'm not speaking to them anymore. I guide them into a very relaxed state first, and I kind of give them a little bit of hypnosis before. Sometimes it's just a relaxed, you know, not a very deep hypnosis, because when I work in a group, I don't go very deep with them at all. And it's more like a relaxed state of mind that they get into, and the drum is taking them in. I play a frame drum. I made a couple of frame drums, which one is a horse and one is a buffalo, and I use the different sounds, and usually two different journeys. The horse will take them one place, and the buffalo will take them another place. It's kind of...
When you say a frame drum, is that drum in the shape of a horse or the shape of a buffalo?
No, it's made out of a buffalo skin, and it's a spiritual drum that I actually found the hide, and we made it, and you know, from the hide, and cut it out and put it together, and I did it in a sacred way, and I did it with someone that helped me make these drums, and then I actually, you become one with your drum because you're making the drum yourself, and it takes hours of molding and working with that skin. So it's very spiritual, and it becomes very bonded to me, and I'm very, very attached to my two drums because of when I made them. And so it's made out of a horse skin, and then one of them is made out of a buffalo skin.
Now, when people take these journeys, is there any protection, or do they even need protection?
Yes, we always set a sacred circle, and sometimes you can use candles. You can use any kind of protection you feel. You call in the guides, you call in your directions. That's for a journey. And then we can also use a white light, you know, protection, also positive manifestation. So
what do they need protection from?
Well, you don't want to bring in any dark energies, because like I was telling you, when I started on my path, I had past life entities that were waiting for me, and they would come and try to bother me. So when someone's new or starting out, you know, we always put a protection around us so that these entities will stay away, and we're more in a clearer space and protected by our guides and God and whoever I call in, all of our guides, and so that everyone's protected and they feel safe in that circle.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say on that topic? We can move on to conscious channeling.
Oh, yeah, we could talk about conscious channeling. Well, channeling is something I like to teach to people because, like I was saying before, I like to help people reach their higher self, because your higher self is connected to God. So if you reach your higher self, then every day you'll be able to know your path and guide yourself into a positive place all the time. So I try to teach that to help people to learn to connect to their higher self. And the way I do that is the voice channeling. And I voice channel where I'm hearing it for the first time, that it's coming out of my mouth, and I just speak it. And that's when I was telling you I use a recorder sometimes when I do that, if I'm by myself, because usually I won't remember a little while later, and I'm consciously doing it. My eyes are open, but I'm voice channeling where I hear the words the same time they come out of my mouth. So then there's telepathic. I'm also telepathic, so we also do classes on that too. We practice telepathy because, to me, if we didn't have any radios or a way of phones or communication, I used to work in the hospital, and you know, the first thing that went out in the hurricanes, and I was a part of bioterrorism, believe it or not, first receiver in the hospital, because I was in the hospitals for 30 years also plus doing this work that I do. And the first thing that went out was the radios. And so if we ever lose contact and we need to speak with our loved ones, if we can all become telepathic, then we would be able to contact each other. So I teach that, and it could be a little scary in our world, because in our world, you know, you don't want to hear everybody's thoughts. So I usually block other people's thoughts, but you know, during class we'll open up and we'll try to work on that, or see colors or words or different things like, or shapes and stuff like that. So telepathically, when I channel, I hear the words first and then I speak the words. So it's more like hearing in my head.
Okay. We're all basically telepathic. I'm sure all of us have had this experience of thinking about someone and the phone rings.
Yes. Yes.
Or we're reaching for the phone and the person we're thinking of is on the other line.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly.
So how can we open that up more? What do we need to get rid of in order to open that up?
Well, it's more like a practice where you would practice in a group, or you can say, have a friend and tell them, okay, at this time, I want you to send me a color. And you send the color, and then you have to let go of the color, and then the other person can receive it. So it's almost like, I'll tell you a funny story. There was a girl that I called her like after a year, a friend of mine that I was working with, and I don't work with her anymore. And then all of a sudden I couldn't reach her, and I was so upset. I said, I'm never going to find her again. So I fell asleep. And then the phone rang, and it was her. And then I go, oh my God, I was trying to call you. And she didn't believe me, because she goes, yeah, right. It's been a year. And it was so true. This was a long time ago, before I even got on my spiritual work, when I was still in New York. And I was like, it was just the funniest thing. She didn't believe me, but it was true. I fell asleep. So I sent the message, probably because I'm telepathic, and she heard the message and called me up. So you have to send it and let go of the message, and then you can hear it. So you have a sender and a receiver, and it's something that everybody can practice. You set a time to do it, and you can practice sending colors. Colors or shapes are easier than words. But, you know, you can also send, hopefully we'll get to the point where you can hear words, and then we can say, okay, meet me here or meet me there, if we ever needed to do that. And we didn't have a phone system working at the time.
Okay. Now, with all these abilities that you have, I would think you may also be an empath.
Yes, I'm very empathic.
So how do you deal with being an empath? Do you have to put screens up to keep everything from coming in because you can feel everything?
Yes, I learned that many years ago, because I was very empathic, and I still once in a while will get it. I get it in my pit of my stomach, you know, your solar plexus. But I was very, and when I first started out with Reiki, I was the crying healer. They would cry, I would cry, and I'd be like trying to like, and even while I was doing my clearing work in the beginning, I would have to like really, they would cry, and I'd be like trying so hard not to cry, because of course you can't be the crying healer. So I would, if I would do that a lot, that was when I was practicing, you know, with my friends. Then I would stop working, and I wouldn't do it until I worked on myself. So it's like, you always have to constantly work on yourself if you're going to help other people. So during different stages of my life, I've had to take a step back and then go back out and work with people, because I had to work very hard on that, being empathic, because you don't want to be the crying healer. You want to be able to help people and not really go into their thing, be able to look at them in an impartial way. And even in daily life, you know, I'll know. See, when I was young, very young, that's why I got taken to the doctor too. My mother's friends used to be lying or something, and I'd be like, well, why did you say this when you mean this? And then I'd get hit, you know, and all the time, like, I would know they were lying, because I was telepathic, and I could feel when somebody was lying. So I even found people stealing at my dad's factory when I was young. This is before I knew anything about anything, you know, and 2 times, and the same thing happened with my ex-husband's sanitation business, and he lost the business because he didn't believe me that they were stealing until it was too late, and then he lost it. So my dad did believe me, and he actually got to the bottom of it. And so I just know for some reason when people are not telling the truth, and I try to block it, and I'm like, no, that's not true. Stop saying that. And I'll yell at myself about it. But usually I'm right about it. So, and sometimes I hate that, but it's good to trust your instincts.
Sharon, how did you get involved? Okay, most of us will do 1, 2, 3, maybe healing modalities, but you have this plethora of healing abilities. How did you get involved in all these things?
Well, I've always been, pretty diversified, and I was belly dancing, for so many years. And there's a really correlation with belly dancing and metaphysical work, but nobody understood that. It actually unblocks your chakras, because as you're doing isolation exercises, you're also unblocking all the chakras in your body. So there's a correlation there. And then, I also host a lot of drum circles. In the last 20 years through the community, because I want to help spread unity and love through music. And people come there and they share. They don't even have to really know how to drum, and they drum and dance. And to me, it sends love out into the ethers, especially when you use the drum. And so that's also kind of correlating together with becoming one, all of us becoming one, which is what I really wish for all of us and the planet. And then Qigong is something I'm always in school for something. Now I'm in esthetician school. I'm going in skincare specialist, and I'm going to be a skincare specialist to add that, because that's also very healing for people on many levels through massage, and I'll be able to work with people closely with that too, and making them helping them feel good about themselves. Qigong is also opening up people's energy on another level, and they might relate to that, and then yoga, I actually got into yoga for myself and became a yoga instructor for myself. I lived on the ashram for like 3 weeks, and I did it for my own healing because I used to have fibromyalgia, and I had to train myself to walk again, and now I'm fine. And people say, oh, you can't cure, but I don't buy into any of that. I buy into that we're self-healing, and I'm not going to have limitations. So most of the things that I've gotten into were for myself, to heal myself. And then, of course, metaphysics and shamanic journey and all that other stuff is my love and my passion. So they all correlate together because they help people feel good, and they help people open up to their higher self. And all of it is, in my opinion, it's all healing. So I do those many different diversified things because I've always been like that my whole life. I always had 3 jobs. I can never do just one thing at a time.
Sounds like a 3. What is your month and day of birth?
January 16th.
17/8. So you have this innate desire to organize, orchestrate, and delegate. You download directly from the universe, and you're here to shift the paradigm using the wisdom, knowledge, and expertise you've gained through all your lifetimes. Now this one, and I think we're really close to, quote unquote, that new age that's coming, that we have chosen this lifetime to resolve most of the issues from the past 26,000 years. So it seems like through your hypnosis, through your past life regressions, you've done this work, you've gone back, you've taken a look at the clearing, and you're helping other people do the same thing so that they can accelerate their growth and embrace this new age that's coming, this new 26,000 year cycle. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Let me ask you, we talked about the belly dance. We talked about it unblocking stuck energy. And you, at the very beginning, you do, I didn't get a chance to make a note. You referred to these specific exercises. When you do the belly dance, you move energy through certain areas.
Oh, yeah. You mean the isolation exercise?
The isolation exercise, yes. What is that?
Well, you take each body part and you're isolating it. So if you're doing a basic step, you're working with your hip, and you want to work your hip, just your hip, and isolate it from the rest of the body. So you're opening your lower chakras by doing that. And some people, I noticed over the years, I do my own little like surveys all over the years on people's chakras, and when I work with chakras too, and how they spin a different way. But I don't want to go off on the track, but it'll open that chakra. So certain people that have blocked heart chakras, let's say, they'll have a very hard time in doing a shoulder shimmy. And then there's people that have a very hard time in moving their hips because they're blocked on the lower chakras. So I try to, when we work with belly dancing, it actually helps them open their chakras and open their heart, or open their, and then the thing that was the hardest for them usually becomes very easy for them. And I love to watch as people progress and, you know, begin to be able to be really good at something that they had such a difficult time doing.
Wow. I like the belly dance.
Yeah, it's very good exercise. Even Qigong for me was the hardest, one of the hardest certifications I ever got. Well, now esthetician school is kind of throwing me for a loop, and then yoga was kind of a lot, but my brain is hurting already from esthetician school right now, anatomy, physiology. But Qigong was very hard for me because as a dancer, I was with Jeff Primack, who is really big in doing Qigong, and I use his method, and it was very structured where I'm not structured at all with my dance, and so I had to learn to do the method very perfected, and it was very, very hard for me to get that, but I did. So it was really a challenge, and I was so happy when I passed his rigorous training that I used to go to Miami, I think weekly, to be tested and do the work that I had to do for it. And it was a really amazing thing for me. And it helped me heal along the way. And it actually saved my life, I believe, too, because I had a surgery that was supposed to be minor surgery, and the doctor nicked something accidentally, obviously, and then the next day I hemorrhaged, and I was in the middle of the night, and my dad saved my life because I didn't know I was purple from my legs to my stomach. All my blood was bleeding out into my stomach, and my dad came in the room, and I was in severe pain. He's like, "What's going on?" And if he didn't come in, I wouldn't have complained, and I would have just stayed there and died. And so then we called the doctor. We ended up going there, and I had to get emergency surgery. And if I hadn't been doing Qigong day after day before that, I don't think I would have had the energy. I had to get 2 blood transfusions, and then they were sending me energy from the class because I was supposed to be down there. And so they were sending me energy from the class, and I think that it really saved my life, having all that energy and blood flowing through me. That saved my life. And I was energized when I came out of the second surgery. I was like, felt great.
Oh, wow. Well, can you give us some kind of a simple demonstration of how we can protect ourselves and relax?
Sure. I can give you a little bit of a short white light breathing exercise that people can use before they do their meditation. So what we usually do is we call in our guides, and then we do some breathing. So we'll do some light breathing. So take a deep breath.
Wait. How do they call in their guides? Let's assume that this is like less than 101.
Okay.
And dealing with people that don't have any background in this. So give me some concrete stuff as we go through it.
Well, the way I call in my guides, I call in the guides that I feel close to. So some people have different religions or different backgrounds, and they deal with different guides. So they would need to work with the guides they feel drawn to. I usually say, "Dear God, Jesus, Kuan Yin, Buddha," and I call in the archangels, Ariel, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, all my spirit guides and teachers, and all those of the light and Christ consciousness who wish to join me. I call you in, and I usually snap my finger. And I say all those of the light and Christ consciousness because some of the guides that I work with don't know what the light is, and they know the Christ consciousness, because I deal interplanetary, not just from this planet. So depending on who your guides are.
Okay.
And then I would, if I was going to guide someone in my, like people in my class, let's say, so I'll give you a little quick demonstration on how we would do that. So you would sit comfortably with your feet uncrossed. Your feet would be, you know, your hands could be up however you feel comfortable, like on your lap with your palms facing up. And you sit there comfortably, and you can close your eyes. And then you start doing some breathing. So you take a deep breath from the top of your head and pull it all the way down to the bottom of your feet.
Do you breathe in through your nose or your mouth?
You can breathe in through your nose.
Okay.
Usually I do, in that type of meditation, we breathe through our nose. And then they bring the breath down, and they roll it all the way down to the feet. And then they roll it back up to parted lips, and then they blow out any unwanted energy, visualizing it as black spots. And we continue to do that. I say that again 3 times. So take another deep breath from the top of your head, pulling it all the way down to the bottom of your feet, rolling it back down, and bringing it back up to parted lips and blowing out any unwanted energy. And then I say it one more time, inhaling from the top of your head, bringing it all the way down to the bottom of your feet, rolling it back up to parted lips, and blowing out any residual unwanted energy. And then we visualize the white light above us, below us, in front of us, and behind us. And we let it go through the room and through the building and as far as you can imagine, and feel as if you're totally protected in your white light. So usually they'll sit there and they'll imagine their light expanding around them. And then they'll do, then they'll tell them breathe at your own pace, and then they'll breathe at their own pace. And then I'll usually either go into some further deepening exercises, or if I'm using hypnosis, we'll go into that, or counting in numbers and stuff like that. And so if someone, just even does that breathing, your breath is very important. We use a lot of breath in yoga. We use breath in Qigong. We do a Qigong breathing where you breathe through your pores of your body, which is full body breathing. And you can sit there and send healing energy to your entire body and to your organs by breathing through your pores. 2
questions. Question number 1, when they take that breath and you say roll it down, would it help if it was visualized as a ball or a circle, and that energy in that circle is then brought from the top of the head down to the bottom of the feet? Is that what you mean by roll it down?
Well, it's more like an enveloping, like you want the light to come through your head and wave down your whole body, and then wave back up through the feet and come out of the breath. So you're cleansing the whole body with the light as you're doing it.
Kind of like taking a shower.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long would that take if we were to do a brief, if you just walk them through the breathing exercises as you just explained them? How long would it take to do a little bit like that? We have about 10 minutes.
Oh, well, I actually just did it, and it just takes a few moments to do it. If you want me to do it over, I can do it again.
Yes, and I'll be quiet and won't interrupt you this time.
Okay. All right, so everyone's, if they wanted to practice this at home now, so they can sit there in their sacred space, the way we just discussed, with your feet not crossed and sitting comfortably with your eyes closed or open. It doesn't matter, whatever you feel more comfortable. Most people like to close their eyes. So inhaling, take a deep breath from the top of your head, pulling it all the way down to the bottom of your feet, rolling it back up to parted lips, and blowing out any unwanted energy, visualizing it as black spots. Take another deep breath, pulling it all the way in from the top of your head, bringing it all the way down to the bottom of your feet, bringing it back up to parted lips and blowing out. And one more deep breath, pulling it in from the top of your head, rolling it all the way down to the bottom of your feet, bringing it back up to parted lips and blowing out any residual unwanted energy. And now begin to breathe at your own pace, filling the white light above you, below you, in front of you, and behind you. Just filling up with this beautiful, protective white light, and let it go through the room, through the building, and as far as you can imagine. And just sitting there in your totally sacred space, feeling totally protected in every way, as your mind begins to open and bring in any thoughts that you need for yourself from your higher self or your guides. So anyway, that's just a little sample.
Oh, I'm back. Okay.
It's just a little sample. If I don't have where I'm taking them, sometimes I'll take them to, we do a channeling exercise where we climb a ladder, and sometimes we use a rope, and we'll do an exercise where they go higher and higher, and then they sit there and they feel the different levels of channeling. Like each level, it's almost like an elevator, and we'll do stuff like that where once they're in that guided state, they'll go into a different exercise, and we do many different exercises like that. Like I'm doing tonight, I'll be doing a chakra. We do our chakra spinning exercises. We'll be doing a meditation on chakras, and we kind of work with clearing each chakra through colors and visualization of each chakra, and we visualize like a flower spinning in the chakras and opening up, and so we do stuff like that. So today we didn't really have like a certain, I don't want to go too deep over the phone, but I mean over the radio, but and we do different ones like that, so depending on what our goal is.
Okay, so we talk about chakras. There's 7 major chakras. Could you tell us where they're located, and are there minor chakras or additional major chakras? And what are chakras?
Oh yeah. There's chakras more than you can even count all over the body, and I can't remember how many, but we have 7 main chakras, and then we have higher self chakras too. But the main chakras that I could talk to, the base chakra, which is in the groin area. The base chakra is, I use the color red. Some, for this, people have different color variations, and I'll just tell you what I see them as, because I see them in the colors that I use. And then we have the spleen chakra, which is like between the navel and the base chakra, and I see that as the color yellow. And then the solar plexus, which is a little above the navel, like between your chest and your belly button, your underneath your chest and your belly button, is your solar plexus. People might know that, and I see it as the color orange. And some people might know that. You get that pit of your stomach, like you just know something, a gut feeling. That's your solar plexus. And and they have different associations. And then you have your heart chakra, which is in the middle of, I see it in the middle of your chest. Like I feel like it's moved up a little bit, but it's below the throat, above the chest a little bit. And I see it as the color green or blue, interchangeable, but I see it as green. And then we have the throat chakra, which is in the throat area, as blue, and that could be blue or green, interchangeable. And then we have I use the color violet for the third eye, which is the center between the eyebrows. And then the crown chakra, you could use white or indigo colors, which is at the top of your head, in the middle of the top of your head. So, and then they have different, meanings, each one. Like your base chakra would be sexual energy, creation, aggression, assertiveness, protection, instinctual, survival, like So if you're working on a chakra, you want to work on all your chakras, not just one, because you can bring in aggression. You don't want to bring in aggression. You want to balance the chakras and work on all the things. You don't want to just stop at one color and one chakra and just consistently work on that one, or you might get hit with the lessons of that chakra. Because then you have the spleen, which is awareness, instinctual, collective, group survival, stamina, power, energy, physical strength. So you're in the first chakra, it's like there's a storm coming, and then it's your amoeba, your crawfish, the beginning, and then we start to come into a little more awareness, and then because then there's the levels of consciousness, which we can't go over now because that's a whole nother class, but there's levels of consciousness within those chakras. So then we have the solar plexus, which is emotions, your human center. Your ego resides there. I, give me, power, glamour, your gut feeling. And then in the heart center, we have the Christ consciousness, love, wisdom, higher love, unconditional love. I love you enough to set you free, your God nature. And, many people might have different colors than I use, but these are the way I see them. And then the throat chakra, I believe, is telepathy. Clairaudio. Clairaudio is the ability to hear psychically, which is why when I was a kid I would hear so many voices, because I had clairaudio. And I was also clairvoyant, which is the ability to see. So communication on all planes, abstract thoughts, like a space cadet. And then your third eye is clairvoyant, which we just discussed, is seeing through different dimensions, perceiving physically on a higher level. At the lowest form, it's your highest intuition, higher creativity, and higher beings and visualizations. And then the crown is the ability to connect to our higher self and our God self, the cosmos, and channeling. So that's just a brief description, a little bit about the chakras.
Okay, now could you give us your contact information again, please?
Sure. So I'm at asensivellight.com, which is ASCENSIVELIGHT, and asensivellight.com, and that means rising light. That's how I got the name, is A Sense of Light means rising light. And I'm at email asensivellight@yahoo.com.
Okay, we're just about out of time. Is there any final thought you want to leave the audience with?
Well, I would just hope that everyone, we all become one and start becoming more telepathic and send loving thoughts out every day, because everything we think about really gets out there into the ether. So the more positive thoughts that we have in our mind and think about every day, that will help the planet and in turn help us. So, and connecting your heart to the heart of the earth and the heart of the sun every day is something you can do too, to practice being connected to all living things.
Excellent thought. Excellent thought.
And sending love out to everything and everyone every day.
And is there any place you're going to be very soon that people could come see you other than at your practice?
Usually I'm at different events. Like I was in Miami this weekend. We have different drum circles and stuff. If anyone wants to call me or get on Facebook, I'm on Facebook under Sharon Rebekah Lynn, REBEKAH. We have the A Sense of Light Oneness community on there, and I post all the events on Facebook, so they can check on there if they want to join my Facebook group, and they'll be guided to all the different drum circles around and all the different events around where I perform and where we do many different things.
Okay, one more time, your Facebook page?
It's under Sharon Rebekah Lynn, REBEKAH, the biblical spelling, LYNN. And it's SHARON, Sharon Rebekah, REBEKAH, and Lynn, LYNN. And you'll see my picture is a belly dance picture, so you'll know it's me in case there's more of us. And then there's also a group that I started, which is called the Ascensive Light oneness community events.
Well, Sharon, thank you so much for being on the air today. I appreciate it. I know I've learned a lot. I hope the audience has as well. And so again, let me just thank you. I want to thank everybody for listening today, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. So again, this is Quantum Experience and Michael Brill. My guest today was Sharon Lynn. Thank you all for listening in. Take care.
Thank you.